Hi, we're back. I just want to say hello. I missed Monday morning because I was starting a new job and it starts in the morning right now. So it was hard for me to get my Monday morning fireside chat going. But here we go. We're going to go back into self-esteem and we're going to talk about comparisons. And the biggest danger to self-esteem is judging. And we talked about that last week. And judgment is something most people become experts in at a very young age. So far, you've learned that you judge yourself with shoulds. There's more. You may also judge yourself with comparisons. Sometimes we compare ourselves with other people, compare our knowledge with other people, compare our looks with other people, and the list goes on. You probably were compared to a brother or sister when you were growing up. Why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? This being done without any intention of causing any harm. You may have been asked that question, why can't you be more like? I doubt that the person who did that was intending to damage your self-esteem when they said it. Had they known, I believe that they would have approached things a little bit differently. Just like in school, you'll find some kids will compare their grades with someone else, and some will compare themselves with others. The purpose of grades is to show what you have learned. That's the purpose. Comparing yourself with another is not that simple. Doing that only gives you a very damaging view of yourself when you compare yourself with other people. And we do it sometimes, especially girls. We do it with our size, our shape, our fashion sense, and all of that. It's not good. You may have compared your own children to each other without knowing it was hurting and not helping. You may have only meant to make a point, to point out a negative difference versus a positive difference. But it didn't help. Maybe you hoped to motivate one of them to do better. Instead, they felt like you were judging them. They never said that to you out of respect, but that's how they felt on the inside, and a little piece of themselves dwindled. You can compare things, but you should never compare people. You can compare colors, you can compare patterns, but when it comes to people, people should never be compared to one another. As you grow up, you carry into your adult life the things you learned as a child. As a child, you learn to compare. Comparing yourselves to others is a habit that can be difficult to break. Here's why. Sometimes when you compare yourself with another person, sometimes you come out the winner, and sometimes, based on your own criteria, you come out the loser. The possibility of you coming up short in that sense, the possibility of that is really there. There's a real possibility that you might come up short. Now, measuring up because the name of the game is measuring up, you could lose the game. Based on, again, the standard that you have created. Here's some of the things that people tend to compare. They compare income. This one makes more money than me, so that makes this one better. We compare relationships. My husband doesn't buy me as many gifts as her husband does, or boyfriend, or whatever. We compare our looks. She's thin, I'm heavy. She's shapely, and I'm straight. We compare brains. They're smarter than I am. We compare material things. They have more jewelry than I do. Their jewelry is real, mine is fake. They wear name brand shoes. I can't afford those shoes. You know, and the list just goes on. But then it infiltrates later on where we start comparing spiritual awareness. Even when we get into our spiritual life, we'll start comparing those things. You name it, we begin to compare. Again, we've learned how to do this as a child. We became experts based on being the object of comparison. Comparisons carried to an extreme, though, can really hurt or damage a person. They can hurt the self-esteem of a whole group of people. Comparisons are the basis of prejudice. And a lot of times we say that we're not prejudiced, but sometimes it's not white or black. It can be something else that we use to compare ourselves with each other. To boost our own way of looking at ourselves, I guess we try to reduce someone else, and we try to judge things in our favor. The comparison is no longer person to person, though. You become better than an entire group of people. This is going on in our society now. Comparison, and we see the damage that comparing can do. Some people who compare themselves to others come out ahead, still manage to feel bad, even though they come out ahead based on their own criteria. Why? Here's the reason. Because they can see the comparison as not important enough. I won, but that's not important enough. For example, you're at work and you hear a coworker yelling at another, and you might think, I wouldn't yell at anybody like that. But then you devalue that comparison with the following thought. Yeah, and see what it's got me? Nowhere. The fact is, no matter how you come out in a comparison, you manage to turn it into a negative on yourself. As the saying goes, you can't win for losing. Comparisons and high self-esteem just doesn't mix. It doesn't add up. Next week we'll talk about changing the comparison observations. So we'll talk about that on next week. I hope this helps. It was a little short and quick, but I hope that we can get more into things and you'll understand more of where I'm coming from. I really want to take the time to get us to come out of this and to be able to look at ourselves, love ourselves, value ourselves, and find out what our giftings are and what we're strong in, and maximize the potential of that instead of trying to reduce someone else or even reduce ourselves. You are a blessing. Continue to be a blessing, and know that you are a gift to this earth realm. Don't devalue the gift. The gift giver valued you enough to have you here. Make it worth his creation. Alrighty, talk to you later. Bye-bye.